Who's the pussy? And it even worked with Amy Smart. Amy, who's the pussy? She's like, not me. I'm going to go do the Chinatown scene. I'm doing it.
Yep.
I'm going on the fire escape. It's like, Amy, we can get a stunt double if you're the pussy. She was scared too on that fire escape.
I mean, if they
That
did...
fire escape was dicey,
Yeah.
by the
Oh,
way.
that fire escape
Like
probably...
I was a little sketchy on getting out onto the fire escape. And I wasn't wearing high heels and a dress.
I think the fire escape like fell to the ground the next day, by the way. True story.
And I think I was in high heels and a dress the next day.
Which doesn't surprise me.
Available on iTunes as we speak, by the way.
Available on iTunes.
99 cents.
Crank soundtrack. It's really? That song?
Yep.
99 cents?
Yep.
What's 99 cents?
That's right.
I mean, go to the 99-cent store.
Who do you think's hotter?
Achy breaky heart.
Who do you think's hotter, Jared or Long?
You find out.
Oh, you can ask the questions, but you can't really take it when it turns around on you, can you? You know, as a director, a lot of times what you got to do is you got to talk the girls into taking their clothes off. And as directors, we feel we're very experienced in this department and very good at it. So it really wasn't a problem for us.
I think you said it. You can only have, I think, 8 boobs at any given time.
Yeah, on one
a
person.
set.
It's the maximum
No, I mean,
allowed.
there's no rules when it comes to nudity. I mean, this is a rated R film. You know, we're not doing crotch shots. You know, it's not that kind. You know, if this movie doesn't do well, we might do crotch shots.
It got a little bit ridiculous.
We wanted to make sure we had really good establishing shots.
Yeah,
yeah. This rooftop.
Yeah, which, you know, edited down at the end of the day to I think like 8 seconds of material.
It's a good 8 seconds.
Wasn't one of our better ratios, but it's definitely one of those times on set where you kind of look at each other and go like, we get paid for this? Doesn't seem right.
Right on. It's the front of a race car, and it has a professional driver up front in front of the car, but yet inside the car, our actors can be in there driving, and the back wheels of the car are of the actual car.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, it's about right. So instead of using a process...
They told us the driver was a professional.
Yeah, we didn't crash. Instead of using a process trailer where you're up 4 or 5 feet off the ground, we're right on the ground, right in the action, which is cool. I think you're going to be able to tell the difference.
And also, we don't have to, with this rig, we don't have to operate the cameras remotely with like a crane or a remote arm or head or anything like that. Like we can actually get out there, because we shot this whole movie handheld, so this thing allowed us to kind of just like strap ourselves on with some bungee straps and then hold the camera and do the same stuff that we were doing while we were on the ground, only fast in a car.
They made us wear helmets sometimes, like, when the insurance people were around. So that's cool, we understand. I don't really think that we're worth it, to be honest. Kalo, actually, you don't know if he's a transvestite or is bisexual or is just somebody who's a crossdresser. We don't really explain that. Kalo, I think, in his head, took the role on and said, I'm going to be a transvestite, and that's the character I'm going to get into, and that whole, method thing, that whole Pacino thing that he does, which is great. But
we thought it was fun to just kind of like everything else in this movie, just take it for granted.
Yeah.
Don't call too much attention to it. It's just like, yeah, that's who that guy is, and that's who that guy is, and that's who that guy is. That's basically what living in LA is like. It's like you meet pretty much every kind of person, and
most of them are serial killers.
Yeah, mostly, pretty much. So you can't really prejudge people that much. You just kind of got to take them as they are. And there was a lot of conversations we did have actually with Jason saying like, now, what exactly is the relationship between Chev and this guy? Could you spell that out for me? And it's like, the relationship is just like your buddies, man.
Yeah.
You don't judge him, he doesn't judge you. You just like, kind of like take people at face value in this town. So that's what he does. That whole scene's like a great example of sort of like reading the script and not really knowing how it's going to be. Because that whole sequence where he runs around, I think the script says something like, at this point, Jason runs all across LA with a hard-on. I mean, what does that mean? How many days is that? Our AD was like, how many days do I schedule for this running all over LA with a hard-on? We're like, I don't know. So we ended up just piecing it together. We would do a little bit here, a little bit here. If ever we found a great place, we'd get away and steal a shot, with a background that we hadn't seen before, and we had a hospital gown, and we had Jason. We'd say like, let's go, man, let's go run. It looks like Chinatown, huh?
Yeah, the other funny thing about San Pedro is this. It's like a port, so it's right on the water. So we had to cover up the fact that, that whole side behind Jason when he's banging Eve was water. So we covered it up with like weird Chinatown paraphernalia, if you will. If you won't, don't worry about it.
The genius production design of Jerry Fleming.
Yeah, Jerry Fleming knocked
Bailing
this
us
movie
out
out
of
of the
that
park.
one. Yeah, because it was 20 feet away from us. There's sailboats bobbing, in the water, and then 20 feet over the other end, Amy Smart is bobbing.
And then like behind us were kids with like cotton candy and pretzels. It was quite disturbing.
The flashback was in with another scene.
Yeah, we did that with the chopping the hand off. Flashback and the chopping the hand off were in the same day, and then the sex scene in Chinatown, as well as the brunch scene, the quiet the quiet brunch scene.
What we referred to as the brunch scene.
And Jason leaving to hop in the cab. That was all done in one day.
Yeah,
It was a 7-page day.
that was a big day.
know.
That was a big day.
That was cool, man. That was like porn on wheels.
Brunch on wheels.
It's a good theory. I know that Washington, D.C. is looking into it right now.
Oliver Stone's actually going to make a movie about Crank
Yeah.
to try to uncover. That doesn't really have its cachet anymore. Now he's like the World Trade Center guy. He's not the conspiracy theory guy
Yeah, it's
anymore.
weird. Yeah, no,
Who
there's
would
a
that
conspiracy.
be? It'd be
about that.
like Michael Moore. Michael Moore's been tracking us down, trying to get to the bottom of this. Is Chev really dead? Is it all in his mind?
But then I punched him square in the nose and knocked him out. So sorry.
Like, dude, go back to Detroit, man. We ain't talking. Go back to Flint, dude. We ain't talking. By the way, Dwight brought his own clothes.
Yeah, Dwight was his own wardrobe, designer and supervisor.
He came in with a lot of ideas. For clothes, some of which were genius, and we went with them. He came in with his own college ring, like that's his ring. I don't know where he got that thing, because
And the glasses with the chain.
those are
which is
Dwight's.
genius.
Those are Dwight's glasses, right?
Yeah.
Yep. For the riot in the mall, when we shot that,
The looting.
we just kind of picked up some DV cameras and yelled out to all of our extras. There was 100 extras. We said, we made a deal with the malls when we got the location. Just so you guys know, this is real. You can take anything you want from any of these stores for the next 10 minutes. Go, go, go! And everybody went crazy.
And then we had to tell them they had to put the merchandise back.
They were fighting with the store owners, trying to pull stuff out of their hands. It was really cool.
Yeah, it was great.
Method.
I mean, most of the time we're on the phone, so I was a little peeved that I never got to do more scenes with him. The only time I get to do a scene with him, it's one day of filming, and I'm sort of sat in the sort of makeup chair, not the makeup chair. I'm sat in, the doctor's chair, if you like, and he's giving me this intravenous sort of drip, this concoction that he's come up with, and I mean, he's just shooting all this sort of improvised sort of stuff, and it's just fucking killing me. I'm literally crying with laughter. He's got so much up his sleeve. You can't contain yourself. So yeah, and I've seen a lot of his films. He's a tremendous actor, as we all know, and a great country singer at that. So he's got many strings to his bow, and I remember that day vividly because it was it was one of the days that I was pissing myself. The day that I worked with Dwight. Again, I don't get to do a lot of acting with any of the characters apart from Eve. She's the only one that really I get to do more than sort of 1 or 2 days with. Ephraim's this, strange sort of friend that Chev has. And I think the less you know about their sort of friendship, the more interesting it becomes. It's never explained how he knows what I do or why I trust somebody like that who's this bit of a cross-dressing weirdo. And, I just think it works for for the tone of the film. The more wacky, the better it becomes. I'm trying to recall some of the days that I had with Ephraim. It was basically when I chopped off the the old Big Brother's arm and peel away the gun and put one in the back of his head. And he just sort of sits in the corner covered in blood. But I remember him running up with a rolling pin and smacking me on the head, and while he was hard trying to shoot me. Yeah, he's also a very spontaneous sort of a funny chap. Yeah, they were really lucky with the casting. Yeah, they really was. But it seemed that they were both very tuned into each other, and when Mark wasn't operating, he was thinking about other stuff to improvise with, and writing different lines, and the same thing. They pass the camera to each other. It's great that they operate, both of them. Usually, you get the director sitting behind a monitor, sipping cups of tea and saying, "Yeah, one more, please." No, I fucking much prefer to be driving. Yeah, I really do. I mean, I've done a lot of driving when I was a kid, and, call it a misspent youth, call it what you like. I mean, me and my pals, we used to race from North London to Crystal Palace, which is at the opposite end of, the city. And it used to be like an hour's drive. And we was 18, we used to just race each other. We had these little sort of 1.8 litre GTIs, hatchbacks. And, we used to race around, and we used to, weave in and out of the traffic. And so it was obviously not the right thing to do. But, when you got that rebellious streak in you at that age, you've got no brain. So that's what you do. You learn to drive, and you learn to skid around on iced over car parks, and when it snows, and you kind of learn your way behind a wheel. And, since then as well, I've had tons of lessons, and, different sort of stunt drivers show me different techniques and spins, and so I'm good behind the wheel of a car. I'm very used to it. I'm very used to manual shifts and hand brakes right next to me. But this is all different. It's automatic cars with e-brakes on the floor, and so it's a little different. You have to adjust to that when you get over here. Yeah, you can fucking smoke a cigar and go like that. You never have a crash. The man at the front's doing all the work. He's got a very powerful V8 supercharged engine that can put that car in many different spots. But there's a lot of other things that I find that you can see if you've got a trained eye. Usually when you turn a corner on a normal car, it pitches slightly, and you start to lean. I mean, if you look closely, you can see when and when not that I am actually driving, or when I'm being sort of towed. I can anyway. Again, it was another scene that we're all falling on the floor, sort of holding our ribs, going, "Oh my God, this is hilarious." I mean, it was. She got the hiccups, and I fucking forgot what I was supposed to say, and we was running out of time. We just shot the sex scene, so we all felt good, and we was all like, it was a good atmosphere, so we knew we'd done a good day's work, and we was really relaxed, and it went really well, and she started laughing and hiccuping, and it was our only sort of a little emotional scene. Well, no, there was a couple, yeah. Yeah, it was fun, I don't think any day we got sort of bogged down with anything too heavy and thinking it was like a day's work. It was almost like, what we got tomorrow, that's another day. Yeah, it was always, there was a good feeling of an accomplished sort of a good bit of work. It just was consistent. And that's the one thing I remember about this film. It was completely consistent. Every day was a pleasure. And it's, it might sound a bit fucking cheesy to say that, but we had the fucking time of our lives. We really did. And, yeah, normally you get a few good days, you get a few pissy days. Some things don't work out, but, we were quite lucky, yeah.
When Chef calls me up for the first time, and he was like, "Where were you? What were you doing?" And I reminisce of my experiences in getting ready to the club scene. That was fun. That was that's another world that you know what? It brought me back to when I used to do theater in Los Angeles. You go backstage and you start putting your makeup for the character, and it's like getting ready for something. So as opposed to like from Caleb getting ready for his old drag and picking out his dress or his skirts and his high heels, or picking out his nail polish and his lipstick. That, I mean, I don't get to do that. So I said, let me explore that world. That was fun, you know. I don't know if I mean, I won't do that now in my life, but you know, but that's something that I hold dear to me. Going, yeah, I did that. If Johnny Depp, you know, William Hurt, you know, who else? Tim Curry could do it. Hey, let me explore that world. One of the other scenes that was really important was the alley scene. Because, I mean, you read it in the script, but when you're actually going through the actual event, it always turned out to be something different. And that scene is so, it reminded me a bit of Taxi Driver with Robert De Niro, because there's a big shootout and there's a lot of blood involved in the brains. The reality is, in fact, okay, we know it's not real blood, and you know, they're like, you know, rubber brains or whatever. But when you're involved and you invested so much into the scene, you know, it actually is frightening to know the fact that I'm about to get killed by this big guy, you know, and I'm getting pounded on by this giant trash can, and his brains get blown apart and being scattered all over my face. Those are things that, you know, that are really difficult to imagine, but you know, when you're involved in a scene like that, to me, I'm like, well, thank God this is a film. Thank God I don't really live this life. I knew that when it was over, I had to lie down and rest and go, okay, thank God I'm not really going through this. All right, this is just a film. This is just a movie. So again, it was so intense. But I go through it again? I don't know. One of the scenes was the death scene that, wow, I try to forget about, because, you know, when you're tied to a chair, right? Here's also another thing too. I don't think Mark and Brian know this. So normally they have like Velcro with tape on it so that you're safe and everything. And instead of that, I told the prop guys, to actually tie my arms up to the chair, you know, and I mean, so and to use stuff on my mouth and everything, and that hurt, but I'm willing to go through that much pain and explore that. As an actor, you wanted to go, how much of a risk can I take? But when that actually happened, when I was tied up and I was surrounded by all those other guys, I was really scared. You know, you would forget, as an actor, you want to forget the cameras and forget the crew and just stay focused on the circumstance and the situation. You know, and you imagine, you know, what's like, you know, going through that pain and knowing the fact that you're going to die. It's not safe. It's taking a chance and stuff like that. It's what I live for. It's you know, because we always want to find, as actors, you want to find characters who always take risks, who always take chances, who take those bets going, what if I did that? You know, and the things that Caleb does for Chef, sure, he sacrifices himself. And I think that was somebody with courage.
Well, I mean, obviously, like Jason's character in this, you know, he's quite lively, isn't he? You know, and Jason's great. Do you know what I mean? Which is brilliant. But I mean, saying if that was cast as someone who's, say, more of a method actor and stuff, I don't think we could have done as much freewheeling handheld stuff, which sounds strange. You know what I mean? But if an actor starts bouncing around too much, then you can't stay with him. But although Jason is lively, he's always very good at hitting marks and what he's going to do. And you know, I don't think there's any danger in getting, you know. I don't mind putting lights fairly close because I know he's not going to go berserk and knock him over, and then it's not going to hit the, you know what I mean? So that was really good. He's very exact about his stuff. So you do shoot that stuff. You can almost get more active with the camera because he's so good at what he does. So that's good. And then Amy, as you say, then again, you know that she's going to be more calm. So that affects what you do slightly with the, you know, that almost sort of emanates to the camera, you know, and those scenes are a little bit more controlled, let's say. So yeah, you do react to how their actors are, you know, how they play it, as it were. You get a good feel for them. Yeah, that was what the thing was slightly bizarre. We didn't really get any problems like that, you know. I mean, I think we were in neighbourhoods that, you know, when we were shooting, you know, some of the chase stuff, we were locked down by in like Crenshaw and down there, and everyone had said, "Oh wow, this neighbourhood's going to be terrible." Do you know what I mean? But I mean, there was sort of no interest in what we were doing, you know, no problem, and you know, there was no. It was great, you know what I mean? There was no one, you know, if we'd have been, that's what I'm saying, if we'd have been shooting more of an LA style movie where you shoot, you know, like some of the more known places, you know, I'm sure you get crowds, we get enormous crowds, but we didn't get any. I mean, when we were shooting down in Chinatown, you know, like Koreatown, you know, some of the interiors we were shooting down there, no one was out on the street. I never saw anyone. It's bizarre, actually. I hadn't actually really thought of that, actually. You know, no, there was no one. We never really had any onlookers or bogglers. That's what we call them in England, bogglers. They're like looking, you know, like everyone in the background, they're boggling, they're looking, you know, bogglers. We didn't get any problem. I'm trying to think if I can even remember if anyone paid any attention to us at all. I don't know if they looked at us and thought we weren't like a real movie or something, you know what I mean? You know, probably because they've got these guys, these crazy director guys running around with cameras and everything. They don't think, oh, this isn't that, you know. I don't know what they think, what we were doing. No, it wasn't. And certainly, I mean, I thought there'd be more attention paid when we were driving, you know, like from other drivers. But they never seemed to take any interest in us either. Well, it's very interesting you should ask this, because I approached the Descender rig from about 5,000 miles away, because I wasn't actually here for the day. Unfortunately, I did have to go back. I actually got to go to a funeral. So that was the last day of shooting, and that was the only thing to shoot that day. So I wasn't actually there. So all I managed to do is wish them well and hope that the rig held. Talked about a few things, you know, ran a few things with the assistants and stuff, and then I wasn't actually there. But they did it probably better than I could have done it anyway, so bastards. It came out. What a shame, eh? You know what I mean? And I told the assistants to make sure they put all the settings right up the wrong way and do all these things wrong, and they still got it to come out. Huh? Even the best sabotage I tried to leave for them, they managed to get it to come out. And,
how do we cheat that, you know, with the fingers? And so we'd come in the morning, those 3 days, I think 3 days that we had it, and they would glue my fingers together. And they would put a Band-Aid, I think it was these two or these three, so we do these three, that's what it was these three. And so when we were up on the choppers, the other thing is you add one hand. So just, you know, your impulse is to grab on, you know, to stuff, or even when you're acting in the scene and you're doing anything, these three fingers are gone. And it really started to feel like, shit, these three things are gone, you know, and that would inform how you would physically do things, and it actually worked out. Actually, it was actually really excellent. The makeup artist did a great job on that. You know, they're shooting these dust paintballs at you. The guy's good. He's a great shot, dust paintball guy. But I remember I was supposed to run around the corner, and he got me from like good 75 yards. And he's down, and he shoots this paintball, again, dust ball, and caught me right here. How the hell did he get that angle on that? Because it kind of like went down and up. Did you see the gun that Verona has? I mean, it's this big fucking hand cannon that they'd made for this thing. And I, of course, got to put it down my pants. And so it's like, okay, when everything happens, you know, instead of all this, you know, there's windows. These things are going to shatter, everyone. They're yelling, and there's going to be a blah, blah, blah grenade over here. My biggest concern was getting this huge hand cannon out of my pants without somehow taking my pants off. you know, because I mean, there was all these girls around. You got girls in acrylic balls, you know, the wind's doing crazy things to everyone's wardrobe. But I just knew that if those pants came off, that somehow they would figure out a way to write that into the scene, and that would make it to the big screen. I just knew, like, my underwear is gonna, yeah, they're gonna love that. Vicky Verona's running around tripping on his pants. Yeah.